1983.
Wow.
And we feel that this is really a good thing for us because it activates a peptide that activates the stem cells. And hey, the stem cells are the root of everything. So I was talking to Suzanne about that over the years, and we've been very close friends through a friend named Dorothy Torrey, and who passed away of breast cancer after a 20-year, I don't want to call it battle, after a 20-year experience with breast cancer. And so Suzanne and I remained good friends, her and her daughter Mara. And so we were chatting last week, and she told me about you. She said that Dr. Carol Roberts just moved up to Sarasota, and I know you live near there, so you might want to check her out. And that's exactly what I did.
I appreciate that. You're right on the job.
No pressure.
No pressure. Well, it's not. But here we are. 3 people. I have something to share with you. You want to hear what I have to say, and I'd like to make it more of a conversation.
Good.
So, I made some notes yesterday because there's just so much to talk about in brain health. And I'm a disciple of David Perlmutter.
Oh, yes.
In fact, that's where I was working in Naples. I worked with David for 3 years before he retired. And then I continued to work in that practice as it changed hands. And then I'm fed up with them.
We met him at the Naples Church.
Oh, yes.
I go to the Unity Church of Venice. I founded a church and did all that kind of stuff. I'm a interfaith minister and licensed Unity teacher. So when we moved to Naples for a little while, we used to go to the church there, and he was a guest speaker.
I was at that, and it was a number of years ago.
Yes.
I was there
You were
too.
there too, of all
The
things.
church was packed. I'm dying to be invited to speak at another one.
Yeah, there was standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
And Marianne Williamson was there.
Wow.
I saw her there too, and bought
Wow.
a couple of her books. So anyhow, I'm glad you mentioned his name.
Good. So tell me yours, because I
Patricia Conte, C-O-N-T-E hyphen Nelson.
And this is Mr. Nelson?
Bob Nelson.
You're psychic.
Well, it was 50% choice here. Okay, very nice to meet you both. And I'm most impressed with your journey so far. I'm 77, so I'm just a kid. But, I'm an anti-aging doctor, so I know what I know, and I have to look good.
On this path,
Mhm.
there are all kinds of ways to get here.
Yes.
And I don't throw the other community of medicine out.
Nor do I.
However, I do believe that they could use some help from what do you want to call this? Alternative, complementary?
I
What?
call it good medicine.
I agree with you.
That's what I call
Really,
it.
I don't want to be medically managed.
No. And I always tell my patients, you're the captain of this ship. I'm one of your crew. I'm here to help you get to where you want to get.
Yeah.
I'm not your boss. I'm not here to tell you how to live. Well, I will suggest things, and I will encourage you, and I will be your cheerleader, and hopefully a bit of a role model, but I'm not the boss. That's too much responsibility. We all know who's in charge.
Yeah. Do you know Karen Brainerd, Integrative Medicine?
I do, indeed.
I started going there.
Okay.
And I also have a primary care who I go to the nurse practitioner in Millennium Physician
Okay.
because I love working with women.
Mhm.
They listen. They're there for you.
Exactly.
Men have a tendency to look right over your head.
No
Sorry, dear.
disrespect.
Sorry, dear.
Present company accepted.
Yes.
But we know how our brains are wired differently for different purposes. And it's really interesting. I'd like to say God pulled a practical joke when he put men and women on the same planet
Oh,
and expected us to get along.
do you remember Men Are From Mars and Women Are From
Yes,
Venus?
of course, John Gray.
Yes.
Or Gray.
Yes,
Yeah,
great.
it was John.
Yeah.
So we use both sides of our brain simultaneously.
We do, we have to.
We
We
do.
multitask.
Yes, we have to watch the kids and watch what's cooking on the stove and listen to our friends cry on our shoulders and all at the same time.
You know, one of the titles of one of the writings, I've written 2 books, they're on Amazon, and it's called Tuning into Spirit, Volume 1 and 2. And one of them is on multitasking. And it's a way to how to live life, these 2 books, in a way that you don't have to make it so hard. It's kind of like it holds your hand through the process. And it said, multitasking has its place, but be careful it doesn't run your life.
That's right. Because there's a time for just chilling, just relaxing. And that's the balance that we generally don't have. So back to the topic at hand, it's a good segue. Dr. Perlmutter wrote a book called Brainwash. I don't know if you've read it.
I don't think so.
I
I'm familiar
pulled it
with
in.
him, and I've got a lot of, things that come from him, but I have not read Brainwash.
So I'll give you the gist of it. So basically he talks about our culture as a disconnected culture. And it engenders all kinds of problems, psychological and health issues, because we become anxious, we become lonely, we feel like we can't handle things, because life is meant to be a team sport. We grew up in tribal cultures, and that was true throughout human history until 100 years ago. And then all of a sudden, we're all on our own, and we're supposed to be rugged individuals and not ask for help from anyone. And so we become incredibly stressed, and we start engaging in mindless activities and just, movement for the sake of it, impulsivity, instant gratification. I'm reading these because I can't remember them all. Our relationships suffer, and we develop this cultural, I call it ennui, just we are disconnected. So what's the antidote for that? Is to find connection. So we join subcultures that serve. If our family is not supportive or not there, a lot of people have no family. So we find family. We put ourselves out a little bit, and we connect with people, and we develop a circle of friends and family. And that benefits our brain because we become less anxious and feel more connected. And beyond that, the greater context is the natural world. We've become disconnected from the natural world, thinking that these walls will protect us from all the scary stuff out there, from lions to mosquitoes to lawyers and who knows what, and forest fires and everything else. But these walls are paper thin, and our bodies are totally connected to nature. And the more we connect with the natural world, the healthier we become. So our brain is not floating around out there by itself any more than we are. Our brain is encased and lives within a body. And if we treat our body correctly, we won't have all these inflammation problems, and we'll be healthier and better able to handle stress. So you talk about stress on one hand, I talk about relaxation on the other hand.
Yes.
Stress is important. It jazzes us, it makes us work harder, it makes us learn and grow. But we can't be always in that mode. We have to put time aside for ourselves. So especially younger people who are still working have a big problem with that. And I tell them, go to your calendar, find the first hour that's not already filled, and write your name in it. And write your name for an hour a day, every day after that. and take a nap, go for a walk on the beach, go just lie down somewhere, chill, and just do nothing. It's restorative. It gets you back in balance.
I'm
So,
taking notes because Suzanne texted me and she said,
please
make
take
sure, she said, make sure you take notes so you can tell me what she says.
Good. So, number one fact is that the brain is part of your body,
Yeah.
and you have to learn how to properly treat your body in order for all of your organs to work correctly. So, what do you put in your mouth? What comes out the other end? And how often? How much sleep are you getting? You know, and how nutritious is that diet? And how much of the mental diet is also nourishing you? I mean, you can be learning part of the time, you can be playing part of the time, and you can be doing nothing part of the time. And all of that is important. So just talking about inflammation in the body, it will reflect in the brain as well. So if you have gut issues, you have to deal with them. That we always start with the gut in functional medicine because that's where you interface. Your skin is the outside interface. Your gut is the inside interface with the world. And it has to be in good working order. Otherwise, there's a gut-brain connection that causes inflammation in the gut. So you know Dr. Perlmutter's most famous book probably is Grain Brain,
Oh, yeah.
and how he made the connection with gluten, which is toxic. It's meant to be toxic.
We are gluten-free.
Well, so you already know this. A lot of people don't, and they're eating inflammatory foods, inflammatory fats, and they're not getting the nutrition that their bodies actually need. So I propose that people start easing into a nutrient-dense diet, because otherwise most Americans eat calorie-rich and nutrient-poor foods, also known as processed foods, which interestingly are also addictive. The food industry knows our buttons and it knows how to push them. And it starts pushing the minute that child starts looking at a screen.
I just said that today. I had made a salad. We have salad every day.
Great.
And I've been trying to get away from this salad dressing, even though it's a good salad dressing. And I was just doing some olive oil, a tablespoon of olive oil, and I was putting good salt. And it's been doing wacky things to my blood pressure, the salt. We'll go into that after, I'll just mention it. But I said to Bob, you know, the food industry and whoever it was that discovered sugar and salt, they know our buttons because sugar and salt makes everything taste better.
Exactly.
Like you just said.
Exactly.
Oh.
And they use cheap fats, cheap oils and cheap fats, which generally are seed oils, which are inflammatory. So there are two categories of fats that we need. We need omega-3s and we need omega-6s. But we need a lot more of the omega-3s because they form the cell membranes of every cell in your body. And when we're eating those processed oils from seeds, they can be broken, they can be damaged, and they, for want of anything better, are incorporated into our cell membrane.
I've noticed they're putting canola oil in everything.
Yeah.
God, you can't find anything that doesn't have it.
You can. A cabbage doesn't have canola oil.
I meant an oil.
I know. Anything processed
Yeah.
is suspect. They're not using the other oils because they're expensive, so they can't profit from it. Sadly, our food industry is profit-driven, and so is our medical industry.
Do you use olive oil at all?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I use olive oil. It's very healthy. it's not the best oil to cook with.
I don't cook with that.
What do you cook with?
Coconut?
That's what I use. It's tastier, and it doesn't denature
Right.
when you heat it. So yeah, that's good. And olive oil in salad dressing is perfect.
I don't know how, I'm Italian, and I don't know how all the Italian, they all cook with olive oil.
Yeah, and you can if you're careful, but you can't let it smoke.
No.
Then you should throw it out and start over.
Yeah, my grandmother lived to be 96.
Wow, that's a good sign.
I know.
So do you know the single most valuable lab test for predicting longevity
Mm.
is your HDL cholesterol.
Really?
The higher the better. So if you had an HDL of say 100 and your cholesterol level is 230, I wouldn't put you on a statin. I wouldn't put you on a statin anyway because I know some options that are much healthier, less damaging. So at any rate, let's just
So what did you say the HDL, that's indicative of age, longevity?
of longevity, your genetic propensity to longevity. Do you know your cholesterol levels?
I know exactly what you're saying because mine is high and the other is low. And so the doctor
Okay.
said, we don't need to do anything about that.
Oh, good. You
Yeah,
have a
she's
knowledgeable
pretty good about
doctor.
that.
That's good. So I remember them as the happy cholesterol and the lousy cholesterol.
Oh, I like that, happy and
Yeah,
lousy.
I need those
Very
to
good.
remember. But they're not. Neither one of them is lousy. They have
I know
a
what you
function, and they are vilified because we have a drug that works to lower them. So
But
everybody.
people go on Lipitor and that's a horrible thing. I always say that's like tying your body's natural defense system in hand because we know we have high cholesterol for a reason. Don't just address the symptom with Lipitor.
Right. So my answer to, if you want to talk about
Yes,
cholesterol,
please.
number one, start taking iodine.
All right, I do, but you don't, so.
Iodine is important for proper thyroid function, which is important for the brain, as well as your weight and your metabolism. It also brings out the proper thyroid hormone, which if you're not taking iodine, you're making thyroid hormone with fluorine and chlorine and bromine, which are abundant in our environment. You need to take the iodine to drive those toxic halogens out of your body. It's preventative for breast and prostate cancer. And it's important for every hormone receptor in your body. Every cell needs iodine. So that I've gotten on such a tear about that. Nobody knows. It's cheap, it's available, and it's so easy to fix that problem. So we're talking about meds. There are meds that are definitely brain toxic. So one of them is the statins. And we know that some people have developed global amnesia from taking statins. There was a NASA physician who went on statins and twice found himself wandering around, not knowing where he was or who he was or who to contact or anything. So it was definitely from the statins. Plus,
So they cause a brain fog?
they do. They cause brain fog and they can cause dementia. CoQ10 is a very important nutrient for your metabolism. It's one of the most important things to produce ATP, which is your energy currency. Every cell makes ATP in the mitochondria. And those mitochondria need CoQ10. The body will make it if you're not getting it from your diet, but not if you're on a statin.
You take something that's a statin, what is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you don't?
Never had.
Good.
Oh, okay. What is a statin? I know they're
So-
big. What are some of the things?
They are the cholesterol lowering drugs.
Like Lipitor?
I don't remember their brand names, but
Okay.
not Repatha, that works differently. But the ones that have statin in their generic name
Okay.
are all of that category. So I like to
What do
get
you
people
take? Because I know you're on a few medications.
It's all heart medication.
I know, what is it?
Metoprolol. And Xarelto.
Both of those? Anything else?
And lisinopril.
What?
Lisinopril.
Oh, I
It's a
remember
blood
this.
pressure med.
Yeah.
I'm surprised if you were on heart medicines for anything, they usually put you on a statin. But you may have decent cholesterol
That's
levels.
120.
Oh, 120?
120.
That's too low.
That's what it was.
That's okay for a teenager.
You made his day.
Yeah, well, it's the truth. So, all right. So then your nutrients, the other one that really interferes with absorption of minerals and protein is the acid blocking drugs. They're called proton pump inhibitors, PPIs. And you can buy them over the counter now. Everybody should be on them according to the doctors. Nexium, Prilosec, the ones that brag about blocking acid for 24 hours. Well, you know, there's a reason that acid is produced in the stomach. And the reason that we get heartburn, we get acid reflux, is because we're eating foods that our body is trying to reject. So if you identify those foods and get rid of them, and they're usually gluten or dairy, wheat, and eggs can sometimes be in there too.
Eggs too?
Yes, and I tell people, go off those 3 for 2 weeks.
So you don't eat any eggs?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry, you just suggested that.
I suggest that people test themselves
Okay.
by removing those foods. See if the acid reflux goes away. And then reintroduce the foods one at a time on different days. And then you can identify which foods are causing your reflux. And if you stop eating those foods, you won't need the drug. But then there's a warning on all of those drugs that they shouldn't be taken for longer than 2 weeks. And people are on them for years.
I was
and
on it for
years.
2 years.
Yes. So that can cause, you're not able to absorb minerals if you don't have acid in your stomach. You're not able to break down protein. And protein is hugely important for rebuilding. And the other thing is you can't sterilize the food that's coming in. Plus, if there's not enough acid when that food moves into the second stage, into the small intestine, your pancreas won't be stimulated to release its enzymes and its bicarbonate that neutralizes the acid. So it's an immensely complex and elegant system, and we're just throwing roadblocks in the way. So you see these people who are so frail, feeble, have no muscle mass and have no strength. It's mostly from the meds and from poor diet and from lack of movement. So, you know, that's where it comes from. So we're trying to fight these things and get people to take control. The doctors are taught that if the patient doesn't take this drug, they're a bad patient, they're not listening, they're going to die. And we're taught to tell that to people.
Big Pharma has done a wonderful job.
Certainly has. I'm glad you know that, because that is the truth. So, so then we want to reduce inflammatory foods. Take the foods that are best for our bodies. So if you know what it is, and nobody's tampered with it, and it doesn't come in a can or a box or a bag, if it's real, if it's an orange, or it's an apple, or it's a piece of meat, or a piece of fish, it's real food. And then if you prepare it lovingly and properly and tastily, then you'll be much the better for it than eating all this crappy food and then taking the drugs on top of that. So, which is a double whammy to your metabolism and your brain function. So again, the book Brainwash, he talks about higher order brain functions. So all of us know that doing crossword puzzles is good, and playing games with your friends and all that stuff is good. But that only touches a small part of what your brain is there for. That's only your conscious awareness. And it's important, but it's not the only thing. The quality of your relationships, your ability to see and plan for the future, your empathy, and your ability to express that is a higher order brain function. Making decisions, thoughtful decisions, and engaging in positive social activities. Increased self-worth. That's really a big one. Who thinks about that? Look at our kids. They get their self-worth from their social media, sadly, which is not always a positive reinforcement for them. So many of these kids are desperate for support and love and fun and friendship, and all they're getting is criticism, because kids don't know enough yet.
One compliment for every 20 criticisms is what they say.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. No wonder they're in a mess.
Yeah.
So everybody, the kids don't know who they are yet. And that's pretty sad, because in a tribal society, everyone would know their place. You don't walk down the street in a real neighborhood that your neighbors don't know about it and tell your parents. So it's it's a community effort. Life is a team sport, and we have so left that behind. And I really
They
feel
say
bad
we're
for
all
the kids.
angels with one broken wing. We need each other to fly.
There you go. So just having fun, being happy, laughing, joking around. I have a good joke for you. You ready? So these two older couples go out to dinner, and the two men are talking. The one guy says to the other, "We went to the best restaurant last week. It was delicious. And we had perfect service, and it was really great." The other guy said, "What was the name of that restaurant?" "Geez, what was the name of that restaurant? What's the name of that flower that you give your wife on Valentine's Day? Rose? Oh, that's it. Rose, what was the name of that restaurant we went to the other day?"
Oh my God! I will tell you a little joke back.
Okay.
These two monks, I was talking about all the misconstruing things in the Old Testament. These two monks were busily scribing downstairs and one of them starts banging his fist and saying to the other one, "It's not celibate to celebrate." Oh, but that's how messed up it is.
That's exactly.
Oh,
It's-
Rose, I love that.
So there are other things that we can do to strengthen our prefrontal cortex. So most of the trouble starts in the amygdala. That's your animal brain. That's your reactive brain. That's your emotional brain. It's important for our survival, but it shouldn't be in charge. The prefrontal cortex is what makes us human. That's the big part of the brain that's right behind your forehead. And that's where you find all these higher functions: the empathy, the decision making, the keeping in check your animal reactions. What meditation does for us, it just creates a space between the incoming action and your response. It gives you a millisecond to decide if you're really going to punch this guy or if there's a better way to handle it. Maybe walk away, maybe say something nice, deflect. And then we won't have war anymore if people would learn that. So there are methods that we can use to upregulate our brain. One of them is called transcranial electrical stimulation.
Trans what?
Cranial
Cranial
electrical stimulation.
electrical stimulation. Okay.
They have also transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is actually FDA approved and paid for by Medicare. So it's magnetic stimulation of parts of the brain. It's done for intractable depression. They're doing fewer and fewer of the ECT treatments, the electroconvulsive treatments that are so barbaric to see.
My
It's-
mother had shock treatments.
Yes, that's it.
It just destroyed her.
This is far gentler. It's multiple treatments. You go in, they map where the stimulus will be, and they do this clicking thing, repeated magnetic stimulations to that part of the brain, and depression is magically cured.
And it's magnetic stimulation.
TMS, it's called.
Gee,
There is a company here, a medical practice called Brainwave,
mhm.
which is just north of the hospital on 41 in a big building that has art and antique. It's also Brainwave is there. They do brain mapping to show you if your brain is properly balanced. And then they do the treatments and then they do the mapping again so you can see changes. My favorite brain upgrade is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So hyperbaric oxygen is oxygen under pressure. And it was invented for Navy divers who had the bends. They put them in a pressurized chamber, take them down to that depth, and then bring them up slowly. You get the bends, which is little nitrogen bubbles in the bloodstream, which act essentially like a clot, or like multiple clots. So the pressure puts that nitrogen back in solution, and when you come up slowly, those bubbles don't form.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Lots of good information. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. My plan is to build a hyperbaric center here in Sarasota with IV therapies also. So we'll call it a longevity center. And my clients will have at least 10 hyperbaric treatments a year to kind of upgrade. Some people need more than that if they've had brain injuries or they have some neurodegenerative disease. But that is a power tool.
So you're going to have hyperbaric oxygen therapy in whatever center it is that you create.
Yes, so
Okay.
this is just I'm putting my toe in the water right now and just developing the practice and looking for the right spot and the right, finances and what all that I'll need to make that happen. But I'm determined to have that within a year.
It's needed.
I need it. We all need
Oh,
it.
we all.
So if I can use it, then others can use it too.
And you've got the right demographic. Place is loaded with wealthy elderly people.
Thank you.
You know,
That's what I thought.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
We go into the restaurant and we look around, and I said to Patricia, "My God," I said, "I can't believe all of these old people."
He doesn't.
And then I realized I'm older than most of them.
Isn't that something? It's hard to remember that if you don't look in a mirror. Well, you don't.
Then again, you see people in their late 60s, early 70s. They look like they're 90. They're
Yes.
really terrible,
Yeah.
terrible shape.
So only 20% of that is genetic. 80% is what we call epigenetic, which relates to your habits, your lifestyle habits. So I walk my dogs early in the morning. They wake me up at 4 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, I go and get my coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, and they know me there. And occasionally my son, who lives with me, will go with me. So the other day he was driving and he ordered my usual. And we got up to the window and they looked at him and they said, "Where's your wife?" I said, "That's nice." I mean, admittedly, it was still pretty dark, but I mean, they get to look at
What
me
a
every
nice
day.
compliment.
Yes, I was-
Generated a big tip, I'm sure.
I always give them a tip anyway. But that was fun. He was a little taken
I was
back.
gonna
He
say.
has gray hair and I don't. So that was
Aha.
fun.
How do you manage that?
It comes out of a box.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Box therapy.
Some people will regain their natural hair color on DHEA,
Mm.
but I can't take DHEA. It always makes me, no matter how little I take, I feel like one eye is popping out. That's my hormone excess symptom.
I once said to Bob, I'm thinking of going gray.
And he looked at me and he said, "Patricia, I know you better than yourself. You will hate it."
Yeah.
And he was right. I would have gone through all the trouble to do it, and then I would have hated it, and so I never did that.
I did it a number of years ago when I was hanging out with the Brahma Kumaris.
Oh,
Do you know about them?
oh my God,
It's a worldwide meditation.
yes.
And I decided I'm going to just plunge into this thing and go as far as I can with it. So I would get up every morning and go, so I'm an early bird, you can tell, and go meditate with them. And I was doing the vegetarian thing, and I let my hair grow out. And it looked okay, but I did look older, and I didn't like that.
At least 10 years.
Yes, yes. So when I stopped hanging out with them, I started coloring my hair again, and I would stop being a vegetarian because I'm blood type O,
Oh.
and that doesn't work for me. I was
Dr.
getting-
Diadamo wrote all these great books about
He did.
exactly that.
And I've been watching that and evaluating it. It's not true in every case, but most cases it is.
Bob and I are both A,
So you can
and so
be.
it would benefit us. However, I find it very difficult, and so we don't eat meat or chicken, but we do eat fish.
Okay.
And
Fair
we
enough.
eat some eggs, not a lot.
Mhm.
And I also follow the medical medium
Oh, yes.
and learned a lot. And he thinks that eggs are horrendous. And I do the wild blueberry thing every morning that he recommends,
Okay.
and lemon water and all that. I was so excited to hear that you were here.
I'm excited too. I'm so happy to be here for you guys, really. I know my people are here. Unity is where I want to go. And the Jewish temple too. I go for cultural reasons.
Well, Unity Church of Venice, I'm on their spiritual care team. And Robin is very open. And so, and also there is the Unity Church of Sarasota here. It's much smaller than our church.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
How do I get on your speaker list?
Well, we have a long speaker list.
I'm sure. you
However, I am going to be with her on Saturday. We're going to be doing a training for our spiritual care team. So I will mention your name to her and tell her that we saw you, and also that she had cancer. Her mother died. Her mother was the senior minister, and Robin was the junior minister, and now the mother, Patricia, died, and so Robin has taken over. But I may invite her to come with me next month.
Good.
To the talk that you're going to give, so that and I will at least bring you up and mention your name and tell her that you would be a great speaker. Like several of us on the spiritual care team are going to Unity Church of Sarasota on Friday because the author of some of the books that we use in the prayer department is going to be doing a talk Friday night, and I'd like to meet her in person.
What's her name?
Oh, well, right
Okay.
out of my mind.
All right, never mind. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
So I wanted also to mention that hormones are super important for brain health.
Oh, I don't take any. What should I?
No, it's not that simple.
Oh.
Not everyone needs them. It's possible you don't need them, but I've been using bioidentical hormones now for 27 years. And I'm planning to continue to use them until they take them out of my cold dead hands, they say.
I started years and years ago, and I don't know why I stopped.
Probably couldn't find a doctor to prescribe them. That's the hardest part.
Well, right now, surprisingly, and it must be, I'm right now getting shooting pains right here. And it's so interesting that it happened in your presence, which means that maybe I'm supposed to bring it up. But I go to a gynecologist down in,
The island.
yes, her name is Dr. Gina Arabit. And I've had fibroid, ARABITG, Dr. Gina. Now, I've had fibroid tumors since I was 35, and I totally believe in that your body is always giving you signals, and whatever it is that's happening is a result of that. I was in a 20-year marriage. At that point, I'd already been married about 12 years, and it was very abusive, not physically, but emotionally abusive. And so what would take a hit? My ovaries, my
Sure.
creative center, and I developed them. But anyway, my gynecologist back then, he said to me, Patricia, they're not bothering you, let's not bother them. So they're still there. And then
So do you get ultrasounded every once in a while? Now you have a pain?
I
You
had
should
one.
have an ultrasound.
I did,
Okay.
and she told me that I had a mass there, which they did a test of, which was benign, on the ovary, and then a cyst on the liver. And she said, but Patricia, she said, you're 83. She said, surgery is a dangerous thing.
Okay.
She said, between the anesthesia, the things that can go wrong, and she said, why don't we just leave it alone?
Well, why don't we make it go away?
Yeah, she doesn't know how to do that.
I do.
That's the thing. Well, that's what I would like to share with people.
Yes.
I would like to bring a whole lot of people to your classes so that then they can see what it's like, what you're like,
Yes.
and then
That's why I do this, let people count my heads, decide if I can
exactly,
work with them.
exactly. And so that's why it's hurting right now, because I am supposed to mention it.
Good.
Obviously, because we're not going to do surgery, like, I'm a busy bee. I get into everything. And last year, my body just said, enough, you're not listening. I got shingles for 4 months.
Ooh.
September, October, November, December. If you want to think of something that'll flatten you, that did. And I had to slow down. However, I didn't, I haven't been able to maintain that. So I've been getting I write every morning, and I've been getting the message my guides are telling me. Back in '82, Medium told me I had spiritual guides that wanted to write through me, and that's where the 2 books came from. But they're telling me, Patricia, relax, slow down, slow down.
Did you hear what I said?
I wrote it down in big letters,
Good.
relaxation.
Uh-huh.
So it's not an accident that that's in this conversation.
Right.
But now this pain,
Mhm.
it's another thing about relax and whatever else I learn here.
So I'm gonna ask you to buy something here in this store.
Mhm.
It's,
I also think I might want to buy this. What do you think? Is
what
that,
is that?
I saw it up there.
Oh, that's fine. I don't have anything to do with what's here for
Oh,
sale.
really?
Yeah, and I just rent space.
Oh, okay. But
But
I saw this and it had some, well, maybe I won't buy it. Do I need another book?
probably, if you're called to it.
I right away got up and looked at it.
They do wonderful aesthetic
Well,
work
I used to
here.
use Eminence.
Oh, okay.
I went
Eminence is
to
the only.
a group down in, an Eminence salon down in Naples. So yes, I will buy what you recommend.
I'm going to recommend progesterone cream. So progesterone is a hormone.
Mm-hmm.
It's so safe that it's allowed to be sold over the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the antidote to fibroids, to ovarian cysts, to breast fibrocystic disease, to all the ails of women.
Mhm.
So if you use a little squirt of that every day for a month and then go get your ovary ultrasounded again. And I think if it's the ovary that's causing that pain, it'll go away.
That'd be wonderful.
So that would be the first hormone to start and the last one to give up. It doesn't cause cancer.
What do you use in the way of bioidentical hormones?
So I use two kinds of estrogen, progesterone and testosterone.
So should I use testosterone?
I don't know. That's got to be individualized. If your adrenals are healthy, you're still making DHEA, which turns into testosterone. So I'd have to test you first and see if that would be appropriate. But these hormones keep our bones strong, our brains.
I do have
Wow.
osteoporosis,
Well, then,
which is reversing itself. It was up to like almost -4,
wow.
and now it's down 4.5. And now, I know it's
Be afraid to touch her.
I also have a very strong spiritual life, so I think that kind of helps a lot.
So what are you doing to reverse your osteoporosis?
Well, I'm taking Algae Cal, 2 of those in the morning with meals. In the evening, also strontium before I go to bed. Bone broth for collagen, as well as collagen in my smoothie that I have every morning. And
Are you doing the exercise?
I walk 2 miles.
Resistance training,
I know,
strength training.
Well, tell her the good news. The latest.
the latest one was I went down 2 points. I'm now 2, -2.
Was it the same machine?
Yeah,
Wow,
I know.
that's very impressive.
So-
That was about 2 years. 2 years.
But I'm trying, and the thing is, I had a sugar addiction, and sugar's the worst thing.
It is.
You know, that's a disaster, and so that only, but if you do sugar, it's acidic. And the body creates, pulls calcium out of your bones to cope with that.
Exactly.
And I know that, and
So
yet,
the lemon water is helping too.
is that good?
Yes.
Oh, because
It's
I've been doing that
alkalizing.
for 20 years.
It's alkalizing.
Yeah, you remember Richard Simmons with all the hair?
Yes.
I've been doing it since him.
Okay.
Half a lemon and 8 ounces of water.
Nice, very good.
So I'm a good student in that I will listen and follow what you say. And I will also bring lots of good people here because we have a lot of people who need you.
I'm thrilled to hear that because I'm here for them. You know, I'm starting the next chapter and I want it to be the final chapter of my work life. So I'd like to get it going. I have other doctors that I'm courting to come and join me. So we'll have a real longevity center with multiple practitioners, different things that we can offer.
Have you heard of Dr. David Majurchin?
No?
His daughter is in with him. He's a chiropractor, and his daughter is a chiropractor. And they run a clinic in Sarasota. He does lots of supplements and things like that. But he also does a lot of, he uses chiropractic, but he doesn't do he uses an adapter. And is very much into health and wellness. Majercian, Dr. David.
M-A-J?
M-A-J, here, I'll give you his.
E-R?
E-R-C-I-A-N.
C-I-A.
Treat him gently, because he's got a bit of an ego. Sorry.
So unusual.
I have to, it is what it is. He's a nice man.
Do you know John Lawrence? What's his name?
There it is, M-A-J-E-R-C-I-N.
Good.
I think I spelled it right. M-A-J-E-R-C-I-N,
C-I-A-N.
C-I-N.
C-I-N. Okay.
And his phone number is 941-921-5741. He's at 5640 Marquesas Circle in Sarasota.
And you would have me contact him, why? because we're on the same.
because you're on the same page, and just so you're aware of him in case somebody brings up his name,
Good.
you know him.
Okay. Yeah, I like to go and meet practitioners and cross-refer people that have been recommended, so this is important for me as well. So one other thing that I want to bring up, and this is perfect for Unity, and that is the contribution that medicinal psychoactives can give to brain function. So what am I talking about?
Medicinal,
Psychoactive substances, also known as psychedelics. So the mushrooms specifically. Ketamine is a legal drug which is used for other purposes. It's an anesthetic, but given at lower doses, it generates a psychedelic experience. When you take, they call it microdosing of any of these, it doesn't create that type of experience, but it generates new synapses in your brain. The nerves start to regrow and to form connections again. So a lot of people in Silicon Valley are microdosing.
and it generates nerves.
It grows new nerve connections, new brain connections. It's pretty phenomenal. We're just beginning. Of course, it was illegal for 50 years to even study these
And
things.
what do you call them?
Psychoactive medicine.
Right, I have that, but you
So-
gave a name of something that was microdosing of.
Well, psilocybin with
S.
a P, P-S.
PS?
I-L-O, C-I-B-I-N, is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms. They are not legal in Florida, they're only legal in Oregon, and they've been decriminalized in California and in Colorado. It's coming, because the data is there. So that's something else that can be a power tool later on for regrowing a new brain. I do journeys for people with problems like PTSD, depression, and just people who are curious, who've never done psychedelics in their lives and just kind of want to try it. It's a gateway to the ineffable. It takes you to realms that you can only imagine. If you've meditated for 100 years, you can get there. But short of that, this is the Royal Road. And every indigenous culture on the planet has its
What was
It's
it, Kiowa
preferred.
or ayahuasca?
ayahuasca, ibogaine. In Greece, they had the Eleusinian mysteries that all of the elite and the intelligentsia would go to.
So you say you take people on journeys? Explain.
So I have another company, I've kind of separated it from this. And if somebody is interested in doing this, I will go to their home and administer it there. Where do you feel most safe, if not your own home? I will do it for the same fee for up to 3 people at a time. I administer the medicine, I sit, and I'm there to provide the safe space. I've also studied shamanism. So I do it in more of a shamanic envelope. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's a sacred ritual. It's not just something to stick an IV in someone's arm, put them in a room and leave them there. That's not what this is about. It's really about creating a space where you can have the most valuable experience possible. So ketamine is what I use. That's the one that's legal all over.
It
the
is
country.
legal?
Yes. It's used as an anesthetic in every operating room in the world. It's a battlefield anesthetic. It's very safe. You can use it for pain relief and for amnesia. And, if you're moving somebody out of a terrible horrible, traumatic place. And I really like doing it for the people who are curious as opposed to the people with a diagnosis who are doing it for them.
Are we talking about dementia? Reversal?
No, we're not talking about dementia here. I've never done it for someone demented. I don't think it's a good idea to do that because I can't go where they're going.
Sure.
I can't communicate properly, and it's all about safety and communication.
How much did you charge when you did that?
So it's $1,000. It's generally a 3-hour experience, but there's prep time before. I want to know who this person is, what meds they're taking. I want to prepare them correctly for
And you would do it for up to 3 or 4 people?
up to 3 people.
3
now.
people.
Mhm. I come with a sitter, so if anything happens, the sitter can call 911 while I'm attending. And it's never happened. It's really quite safe. So some of the other psychedelics are LSD. LSD was the one that we knew about in the 60s.
Timothy Leary.
That's right. I was there when he was. Yep, and that's where I had my first experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've done ayahuasca in the jungle and in
And Ram Dass.
Ram Dass, yes, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He was a great teacher too.
My brother was very close to him and followed him for years, and Ram Dass told him, which my brother was very proud of, that the two of them had been desert fathers together.
Awesome.
So of course my brother was like, whoa.
So yeah, some people see past lives. Some people see their future.
I saw a couple of past lives when I was looking at him and he was lying there, and all of a sudden a past life flashed before my mind. We were sitting in white togas with these wrappy sandals. We were sitting on a stone that had stone hair, and we had these metal bracelets on.
Mhm.
We weren't talking, but we were communing. We could hear each other, and I didn't know whether it was from the bracelets or whether it was just, but it was a time, whether it was Atlantis or whatever, that was a time. And that was one, and then the other one I won't even go into. I was a bitch. I was a terrible person. He was a graduate of an incredible school in England where he was expected to be the next high fufa.
Oh yes.
And so I decided I was going to attach myself to him and marry him as soon as he graduated. And I was the daughter of the fufa that he would inherit. And instead, when he graduated, he decided to go out into the field. And I'm married to him at this point, thinking I'm going to be Miss High Fufa. And he goes out into the field and ministers to people out there who have no one. So
you didn't like that.
I didn't like that at all. But anyway, I had 2 of those experiences.
Amazing.
But I totally understand where you're coming from, and we're on the same wavelength, and I would like to help you in any way I can
Wow,
to
thank you.
get you to know people, because people should know you're here.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to tell them.
I'm a good communicator.
I see that.
That's a challenge for me though, because astrologically, North Node, South Node, your North Node is what you came here this lifetime to do. Your South Node is what you've done forever.
Mm.
Well, my South Node is in this 10th house of networking.
Oh.
Yes, which is beautiful, but I've done that.
Uh-huh.
My North Node is in my 4th house of home.
Okay.
Inner home,
Mm-hmm.
home where I live. And I'm always
The home planet. Let's not forget the planet.
right, but I have a tendency to fall into networking rather than ministering to here, so it's very, and that's why
Yes.
that's why everything's the shingles, all of it is because I'm doing that rather than this.
Okay.
Isn't she just the perfect patient?
She is. She knows so much,
She
and
knows
she's
it all.
willing, and she wants to know more.
Oh, I want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to try that progesterone. I can put it on my arms, not here, not on here,
You can put it on there. Too.
anywhere. How much? Oh, it'll tell me on it.
It'll tell you. 1 pump, I think, is, and don't always put it in the same place because the skin gets saturated. So just move it around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's magic.
Well, I will let you know when I come back next month
Good.
with a few other people, hopefully.
Okay, yes. We need to promote this.
Yes, and we will.
Mhm. It's in Natural Awakenings this month for the first time.
Oh, good.
So it didn't get out in time for today.
Well, I think that was meant to be so I could be here with you like this.
This is wonderful. I'm
But it
thrilled.
also shows people are here, that adhere to your
That's
philosophy.
right. That's right. No, I know. I've strongly felt drawn to Sarasota for years now. And I've been circling around and around. Finally, I landed.
You know, I belong to a group called Givers University, and Jackie Simmons and a whole bunch of people are friends of mine who are in Givers University, and they all like holistic health. And so
Here I am.
I will mention.
I'm going to give you a copy of my book. It's an easy read.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I would love it.
I think
And
you'll
in
enjoy
Givers
it.
University, it talks about the difference between the givers and the takers.
Mhm.
And this is something I'll bring next time if I have it. His name is E.A. Solkovitz, and he has created nutrient-dense foods. And they are in a variety of different kinds of foods, like 30 out of 100 that are supposed to be the top sellers, plus a water. It's a packet that has powder in it that has that you just mix into 16.9 ounces of water, and you shake it up, and it's got all kinds of. And the thing is, I'm a little concerned because of what we were talking about, that yes, it gives you your vitamin E, vitamin D, C, calcium, molybdenum, all of that stuff.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, is it better that at least it's like that and it's in water, which will be absorbed, rather than the capsules and pellets and tablets we take, which are harder to absorb? It's a balance. Do you take any supplements?
I do, but I'm very few actually, and I rotate them. I prefer to get my nutrients from my food. So if you have a really good diet and you have good digestion, you should be able to get everything you need. The trouble is we don't know what's in the food.
Even I buy all organic,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking to myself, how do I know?
Right.
And
And still, glyphosate can spread through the air, through the water Roundup.
yes,
Yeah.
we live in a development called Gran Paradiso. And I'm constantly on the watch for these guys that are out spraying weeds and telling them, don't even come near our little piece right where we are. And, but the thing is, like you said, it comes through the air.
Mhm.
And they're walking around with it on their back.
I know. I treated a young man once who was complaining of a premature ejaculation.
Ah.
And I wanted to know what he did for a living. He worked for one of those pesticide companies, and he had no protection, and it was destroying his nervous system. So once he stopped that, got a different job, he was fine. But then, you have to detox, you have to know, there's so much to know. We live in such an unhealthy country, specifically, it's sad. So, that's what I make a living doing. And it's teaching people is not easy. They want to do what they've always done.
Oh, yeah.
And so they get what they always got.
The thing is that, I love Florida. We moved here 3 years ago, and I'm very happy we did. However, we lived on Cape Cod in Massachusetts for 21
Oh,
years.
that's where Suzanne comes from.
Yeah, only I couldn't stand the cold weather anymore.
Yeah.
The last April that we were there, 5 days of sun the entire month of April. I can't live like that. It's depressing. I have a tendency to be depressed anyway. My mother was very depressed. She was on Librium.
Yes, that's where the hormones come in. The doctors will always put a menopausal woman on an antidepressant instead of a hormone.
Which hormone would be good for that, for depression?
Well, it's balance. It's not one hormone for this and one hormone for that. It's the whole package, and it's individualized. So estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. maybe not all of them for everyone. And, you know, it's an art, it really is an art.
Maybe you could talk about some of that
Yeah, I'd be happy
next
to.
month?
Next month, I'll talk about hormones.
Yeah, because most women that are gonna come are gonna be older women.
Sure,
And maybe they could use some help with knowing a little bit more about what would be good.
definitely, for sure, I will talk about hormones.
That would be helpful. Did you cover everything that you wanted to?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because I kind of interrupted.
That's okay. I mean, there are the other things that I could talk about, but I've covered the big ones. So the hyperbarics and the hormones and proper eating and then just enjoying life. We're so intense in this country and we're so worried about not being busy all the time. We just don't take the time to enjoy.
The thing I found though, and I've talked to Bob about this, is that I have a tendency towards depression. It's hereditary. All my family's on antidepressants. I didn't. Busyness is my drug of choice. And so when I'm not busy, I feel depressed.
So please write that down and tell me how you feel next time you come.
Once I buy the progesterone if I
Yes.
feel better?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's just one step
okay,
in the right direction.
okay. And maybe it'll help me slow me down, that I won't feel like I have to jump up and do something so I don't feel that way.
Right, right. So you're a meditator, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so that serves you well.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, I think I would be dead. I'm really gone, because when I say that, I don't say that jokingly. My mother died at 64, and my dad died at 58.
Wow.
My dad had lung cancer and kidney issues, and my mother had lung cancer.
Did they smoke?
Yeah.
Probably
They both did smoke. But my grandma
Mm-hmm.
from Italy,
Mm-hmm.
96.
She didn't smoke.
Of course not. She not only didn't smoke, but she cooked all fresh.
Yeah.
My mother used iceberg lettuce and canned vegetables.
Yeah.
That's what we grew up on.
Yes.
My grandmother, when we would go there on Sunday for dinner, romaine lettuce,
Mhm.
green leaf lettuce,
Mhm.
escarole. She would make scarol and beans, and
Mhm.
she cooked things that were just stuck to the bones and were healthy.
My mother was born in Europe, and she cooked every meal from scratch my whole life. And she died at 95.
Yeah.
But she was depressed too, because I didn't know what I know now. I couldn't help her in that way. I would have put her on hormones, but sadly I didn't.
I didn't know either, so how could I help my mother?
So, but now you're the one. So let's get you fixed up and see
I
who
can
you
pass
are
it
now.
on.
Yeah.
Let's go buy that paste.
What paste?
The progesterone cream.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I think of it as a cream.
There are hormones for men. There is a hormone for men too.
What is it?
Testosterone.
Hmm.
The hormone of world domination.
Oh,
That's what I call it.
world domination.
Yes.
Isn't there some intertwined concern though with the prostate situation?
So who gets prostate cancer? People with high testosterone? No. People with no testosterone. Because after a certain age, you're turning your testosterone into estrogen, and unopposed estrogen can cause cancer. So again, it's an art and it's a balance. So with your beautiful head of hair, I would add a little progesterone to your formula too, so you won't lose that hair.
You should tell her.
It's synthetic.
It's not yours. That's what I'm afraid of. Anyway, so we'll keep the ones you got.
This is
You got a good beard. Wow.
Isn't it wonderful? He only started it 3 years ago. What did
I had a linguinal hernia repair, and I said, "Don't move for 2 weeks. Be calm, be quiet." So I said, "Hell, I'm not going to shave either." And after 2 weeks, I said, "Hey, this is pretty good."
Very
And I
nice.
said I love it, so.
Yeah.
So it works.
Does it tickle?
Yeah, it does, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It doesn't matter, and he keeps it close.
It looks very nice.
We tried.
I'm so glad we found you.
Me too. I'm just thrilled. So it doesn't have to be a big group if it's a quality group.
Well, this proves it.
Yes.
There's always some reason.
Yes, yeah. So let's get you some progesterone.
Okay.
You can start it today. So once a day, more or less the same time of day. Doesn't matter. But if you put it on too soon, or you have, let's say, intimate contact too soon, then you'll be sharing it.
And he shouldn't be doing progesterone.
Yeah, it's probably not in your doses, for sure.
And I would very much like to know more about, and you're gonna cover it next month, the estrogen, the testosterone, and the progesterone, so that I know how to use this. Better late than never.
Yeah, but you can't get the others without a prescription. The only one you can access, well, progesterone and DHEA is the other one. But
I
don't,
do take a DHEA capsule.
Mhm.
I take 3 of them on Sunday and 1 full one of the iodine on Sunday.
okay. You mean the liquid iodine?
No, it's a little not capsule, it's just a little tablet.
Mhm. So you could take that more, but at least you're doing that.
The DHEA,
No, the
the iodine,
iodine, 3 days a week is
3
what I
days a week,
recommend
1
for
full
people.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, iodol.
Iodoral.
Iodoral, yes,
Yes, sure.
I do, okay, I should do it 3 times a week.
3 times a week, and you too.
Oh, I'll start giving it to you. Thank you.
It's anti-cancer.
And then the DHEA, I just do 3 of them.
Yeah,
Sunday.
well, I don't know how much that is. Are they 5 milligram tablets? Or 5 milligrams is as much as I give any woman.
5 milligrams of
It can-
DHEA.
Yeah, if you're doing it once a week, it probably won't do this, but if you take it every day, you can get cranky and kind of bitchy. So,
You know, that's interesting because I was doing 1
uh-huh,
and then I increased it to 3.
uh-huh.
And what's been happening to me?
Well, you tell me.
He's
Well,
afraid
you've
to
been telling me,
say.
you just said to me the other day, you just said, what is wrong with you? You're so bitchy.
Ah.
Well, that could be anything now.
Well, just find out what day she's bitchy, and if it's that day or the day after.
I'll make sure it's not
Yeah.
more than 5 milligrams.
5 milligrams is enough, but it could be like every other day. I don't know. I'm not
You're
here.
guessing, but
I'm
that's okay. I
guessing.
appreciate that you let me know that.
Yeah.
Because that could be, because I have been on a rant. As a matter of fact, as I said, I write every day.
Mhm.
And this morning, my guides actually came through and said, Patricia, at the end of this day, we want to see not one admonishment on your part towards your husband.
Oh,
Yeah, I vote for that.
yeah, that sounds good.
I mean, for them to warn me that's,
So, and then there's one other thing I want to show you, and that is I do paintings
you
as
do.
well. I started about 10 years ago to learn oil painting, and I want to show you one of my.
I would love to see
Works.
that. So we're both artists in our own way. I write, you
You're
paint.
right, that's right.
Awesome. This was, do you mind if we hug?
Oh, I'd love it. Wait, let me turn this.